Welcome back to the second episode of Season 2 of Before the Basket. I'm your host, Kara Adams, and today we're joined by a very special guest, my own friend, Vince Wolfram. Vince and I are from the same hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, and he studies sports media at Auburn as well. He does pretty much about everything, podcasts, video creation, knows so much. So, Vince, thank you so much for coming on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Kara. It's been a blast. Louisville represent.
Yes, exactly. Well, I guess to kind of get started about this IU-Auburn matchup on Saturday, so I kind of want to do a little recap of the history. The last time these two teams played each other was on March 14th, 1987, in the round of 32. That was the same year IU went on to beat Auburn, and then they went on to win the national championship. And so Bruce Pearl coached at Southern Indiana, and he said in an interview the other day that a victory over Indiana would be super meaningful to him. So what do you think this matchup kind of means to both of these schools?
Absolutely. And to Coach Pearl, I know it means a ton. Starting as a 22-year-old grad assistant, he was starting at Stanford, and that was when Bobby Knight's son, Timmy, he started at Stanford as well as, I believe, a manager. So that's when he was sort of introduced to the Knight family. And then from there, obviously went and coached at Southern Indiana, won a championship, Division II championship in 95 with them. But being around Bobby Knight's son, I think and being in the community and knowing what basketball is in the state of Indiana, but specifically Southern Indiana, and knowing how powerful the game is to that community, to that area, I think just holds a lot of weight for him. And it's a game that's meaningful to him, especially after the passing of Coach Knight this year and him being so close with his son. All of those things combined, I think, probably boost the importance and the sort of the intent for Bruce to coach really well in this game.
Yeah. Well, kind of moving into the game itself, let's talk about kind of a key matchup. We've got Joni Broome versus Khalil Ware, two centers, leading scorers for both teams. How do you think Ware is going to match up against him on Saturday?
Yeah, Ware's a little bit of a matchup nightmare. He's, 7 foot, athletic, shrinks the floor a lot on offense and defense, covers a lot of ground defensively. Obviously, he's averaging great numbers, 17 points, 9 rebounds a game. And he's only played 8 games at IU, so there's only so much to judge him off of in terms of preparation for Auburn. But I think he's a hard force to stop on offense, but where Auburn could get after him is defensively. A lot of times, especially against UConn, he had 3 turnovers, mainly because he put the ball down. And a lot of Auburn's guards are smaller guards, so they're scrappy, they'll get under you. And if he does that against Auburn, it may be a problem for IU. But in terms of the matchup against Broome himself, Broome is very similar. He's 6'10", averaging 18 and 9. So the stats are very similar. Broome's had 4 doubles this season, so he's on the boards a lot. He's a big crasher on offense and defense of the boards, but he's primarily a paint scorer, in close, sort of block-to-block actions. And his big thing is that he struggles at the free throw line. So those two players are very comparable, and what they do for their teams is also comparable. So to see them sort of go nose-to-nose, head-to-head, will be an interesting one to watch how it pans out.
It certainly will be an interesting matchup, but I want to go back to Auburn. So they're coming off of that loss to Appalachian State. What kind of went wrong, and how do they bounce back for Saturday's game?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 numbers that really were the key for Auburn in this one. It was 3 for 27 from 3, which is 11%, and 9 for 19 from the free throw line, which is 47%, along with 10 turnovers. That was the key in that one. Obviously, playing in a tough environment like Boone is at Appalachian State, to go against one of the good mid-major teams, Bruce has stressed that a lot. You can never underestimate those tough mid-majors because they'll upset anybody at any time.
Right.
But to go in there and shoot the ball as poorly as they did, not take care of the rock, and to miss easy gimme free throws at the charity stripe is really what cost them.
Mm-hmm. And now Auburn, so they're 15th in defensive efficiency and 7th in effective field goal percentage defensively in the nation. How do you think IU's offensive matchup to Auburn's defense is going to turn out on Saturday, especially considering IU's lack of three-point scoring?
Yeah, I think it'll be one more in the trenches than it will on the perimeter. Like you said, IU is not the greatest three-point shooting team in the world, but it is going to take their guards. We've talked about Ware and the bigs, and they're all so solid, which could give Auburn problems as well. But I think for IU, the key will be the guards and how they can get downhill. I think they'll have to push guards like Xavier and Trey Galloway. Those guys will really have to get into the trenches and attack those Auburn big men, because in the past couple games for Auburn, the issue has been foul fouling and running up numbers, especially on the bigs. We only have 2 players above 6'11", and it's Broom and Cardwell, and the rest of the guys are 6'8" and below. So to attack those 2 big men, potentially get them into foul trouble, can really open up the offense for IU. And I think as long as they don't turn the ball over and they start off the game hot, getting good shots, it'll be an interesting ball game through and through.
Yeah, for sure. And now both of these teams have a pretty deep bench, and both coaches like to use their second unit a lot. So how do you think the bench players in this game are going to kind of affect it and almost just make sparks and things happen for both teams?
Yeah, absolutely. And that will be the biggest piece, frankly. Bruce, he's subbing at 18 minutes left in the first half. He subs quick and he subs often. So for guys to come in, make a difference, get rest, let another guy come in and get a shot, which sometimes disrupts the flow of the offense just a little bit, but it also is tougher to prepare for. A deeper bench, more guys you have to prep and key your team in on. So the depth for both teams, obviously IU's deep as well. They play 9-10 players, similar to Auburn, who plays 10 or 11 guys even sometimes. But just to prepare more, and you'll see more actions, you'll see more stunts each way. So I think the key will be the starters and obviously how they can battle up against each other, because I think it'll be a close game, but it will also depend on those down times when the starters are out, how well the bench can come in, run offense, and how intense they can be on defense as well.
Yeah. And so, well, to wrap things up, Vince, what is your prediction for this game?
I hate to go against the Hoosiers, but I'm going Auburn 74, Indiana 70. I think turnovers, free throws, and rebounding, whoever wins the boards and whoever gets to the line more, I think will be the winner of this game. I've got the Tigers in a close one, but I think because of it, IU next Saturday, they're going to go beat Kansas at home.
All right. Well, that's a pretty good prediction, but that'll do it for today. Thank you so much, Vince, for coming on. And that does it for our second episode of the second season of Before the Basket. Indiana's going to look to keep their win streak going, and Auburn's going to look to bounce back after that Appalachian State loss. For our production team of Josh Bodie and Kelsey Dennehy, I'm Kara Adams, and we'll see you next time.